Welcome back to the channel, Hobby1 Kenobi here. In this video, I will begin working on the 1/48 scale Sepecat Jaguar by Airfix. Before I begin with this video, I just wanted to give a quick plug to one of my favorite hobby shops, Burbank House of Hobbies. To be clear, Burbank House of Hobbies is not a sponsor, and I am in no way affiliated with the hobby shop. I am, however, an online customer, and I have had many great interactions with the store. If you are looking for another place to purchase your kits and hobby supplies, please give them a try. Okay, back to the video. This will be my very first Airfix kit. This kit was released this year, and I received it as a gift for Father's Day. I have a real interest in subjects from Desert Storm, and I knew I would build the Desert Pink version. The first sprue I came across held the fuselage. It was very small, and looking further, it's clear that this set does not require such a large box. I don't know why the company made this choice, perhaps they had their own reasons. For each sprue tree, I like to attach a piece of blue painter's tape with a silver pin marked with the corresponding letter. This makes it a bit easier for me to find parts. Going through the instructions, I decided to carefully label each step and cross out any step I would need to skip. Finally, it was time to start cutting the cockpit parts from the tree. I clipped away and sanded any excess flash. The pieces fit nicely and had well-defined details. I painted the interior pieces Tamiya NATO Black. Tamiya NATO Black is actually a very dark gray, and I chose this color rather than true black, so that I could create depth and shadows with an oil wash. Once dried, the wash was removed with Q-tips. kit is supplied with decals for the forward control panel and the side control columns. I opted to only use the decal for the control panel and simply paint the switches on the control columns. The decal for the control panel is a bit delicate, and I would recommend slicing it in 2 halves to make it easier to position the dials. At this moment, I would like to remind you to like this video if you are enjoying this content. And if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button. Okay, back to the model. You will see here that the nose gear well bay is painted black. This area should in fact be a greenish yellow, similar to zinc chromate. However, the instructions incorrectly said this area should be black. I will adjust this later on. The main gear wheel well are each built up with a 5-sided box. The fit was great and the boxes slid into their area without issue. A panel was placed at the bottom of the aircraft at the engine area. This went on easily, however I forgot to add a piece from the inside and had to cut it away, then reattach it. Airfix provided a jig for the intakes, which came as 2 pieces. This jig was meant to ensure that the pieces aligned well, but I found that the jig was not necessary and ended up not really using it. I appreciate that the model company tried to find a way to make the buildup easier, but I didn't find proper alignment of these pieces was particularly difficult. A shim was needed between the intake and the fuselage. Some shaving was required to ensure the intake was the proper level to the fuselage. Strangely, the seams from the intakes actually ran through some of the larger panels. I decided to fill these seams and enhance where the seams should actually have been. I suspect this would be easily missed by many modelers. Next, the wings were added to the fuselage. One of the interesting elements to this aircraft is the placement of the Sidewinder racks, which are unconventionally placed on the top of the wings. Ostensibly, this was done to allow greater payload below the wings. While I did plan to install the Sidewinder rails, I decided I would leave the actual missiles off. Unfortunately, the Airfix rails were rather crude and not at all what the real thing looked like. I searched in my stash of spare pieces and found a few sets of Sidewinder rails from a previously built Kinetic Harrier kit. These rails had the proper detail and were a step above the Airfix ones. I decided to remove the Airfix rails from their attachment pylon with a saw. The new racks fit perfectly and immediately added to the overall look of this model. And with that, much of the construction is complete. In the next video, I will continue some final construction work and move on to painting. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this content, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.